Hey, all right, I'm back, continuing on with my reflections, and you're going to notice the same background for probably 8 reflections. I'm doing them all on a rest day. Today, I'm actually in Leon, and I think I'm out at day 18. So I'm going to be doing it. We'll see if I can get through them, but 8 or 9 reflections beginning today or during the day today. I've been taking notes for these different stages over the different days, but haven't had the energy or the time or maybe sometimes the space to be able to peacefully do that. But today it's the Lord's Day. It's a Sunday, and it's the 16th, and I have some neat things to share about that. No, the 15th, and I'll have some neat things to share about that being here in Leon. So uh, one of the things that differs day to day in the Camino are the places where I end up staying. I'm staying in hostels, but I've so far always been able to have a private room and a private bathroom, and just to give me some more space. But what's interesting is the difference between them. Tomorrow, I'm going to offer a reflection about that, about the difference in the types of spaces and creating hospitality through the space that you have for yourself. But today I'm going to talk about not space, but face, seeking his face. Hopefully, you can see behind me there the image of the holy face of Jesus, which is one of the 4 purposes of my Camino. Remember, the 4 purposes of my Camino: to 10x my life, to live in this final stage of my life, a greater realization of the ideal of what God has for me, as far as I can discern it, and how I spend my time and energy in life. The second is to truly walk the Camino as a pilgrim, doing penance. And I'm going to have a reflection on the meaning of penance later on in days to come. The different layers and meanings of penance definitely has been a central meaning of my Camino to this point. The third is to seek his face. And I'm going to reflect a bit about that today. And then the last one is to go out into the deep. That the Lord has been in the boat of my life, speaking from the boat of my life in my career. And now he's asking me to come out into the deep and to lower my nets for a catch. And that's standing in front of me. I'm looking forward to the days to come and how this great catch will manifest itself. And hopefully, in my sense, it was through signs and wonders and miracles happening. And I think there have been some, and you'll hear again some of those stories in the days to come. Seeking his face, one of the great meanings of the Camino is the way, right? It's the way that a pilgrim walks, and the Camino Frances, this way goes from Saint Jean Pied de Port all the way to Santiago de Compostela, and seeking his face is this theme where in the course of our lives, what are we actually seeking? What's the actual meaning of our lives, and how does that determine what we spend our time and attention and energy on? Well, today was a day I had a chance to reflect on that beautifully. Was able to get up early and do the Camino walk by myself. I didn't really engage with anybody in the course of my walk. It was very beautiful, still in the sort of mountainous area, coming down into flatter areas now. Walked along a beautiful lake for the first time. I got to see some beautiful wildlife in nature in a more of a flat area, and ended up in a Azofra. And after I got settled there, was able to uh, put my feet in a cold pool. The place I stayed had a pool. Unfortunately, it was rainy, and so the water was so cold it wasn't really uh, easy to swim in it, but I could put my feet in it, which was actually, frankly, quite refreshing. And then I made my way over to one of the only bars in town, a little bar restaurante. When I say a bar, I mean a place that is a place where you can get some food and some drink. And went to the bar and finally met up with the priest I had heard about. And he ended up joining this couple that I had passed and crisscrossed over the course of a few days, but we had never chatted. Well, it ended up that we ended up sitting down together. There's a couple from the Bay Area, a Catholic couple, and the priest comes and he ends up joining us because he knows this couple. They had spent time together and started the conversation. And the short of it is, this couple reminded me of some people that I would meet in my career as an executive coach. So working with senior executives, C-level executives, like a CFO, CEO, CIO, CTO, different chief level executives over the course of 20 years, 25 years in my career. One of the things that I would encounter occasionally would be an executive, this person tends to be sharp, very skilled, and very committed and determined to be able to let their career rise to the level that it had by the time that I got involved in their lives as an executive coach, coming in to support them and help them get even to that next place, help them to be able to continue to be successful. Well, one of the things that would show up occasionally in the course of my career, it would be that there would be executives that I would work with who gave their lives over to their career advancement. And a couple of implications that came from that. The first was that you tend to think from the outside that people who rise to a higher level of position in an organization, they are making more money, they have more power or influence, that people are looking to them, and there's a sense of maybe sometimes admiration or a little bit awe and wonder, and look at how far and how high they've gone, is that they would say behind closed doors in the confidential setting of a coaching relationship that the more that I got to the level of ownership, because the higher they would go, they would get shares of stock in the company, options that would vest over time, and then they would become more owners in the company. The more that I became an owner of the company, the more that I became owned by the company. The more that I grew in my ownership share, the more that I actually was owned by the company. And for some of the companies that I served, this meant that if this company said to you, you need to go this way, you're going to go that way. If you need to move here, you're going to move there. And so there was very little in the way of boundaries that were put up around that executive's life. And it's a bit of the opposite of what you'd expect. You think, oh, the higher they go, the more they're going to end up having freedom, the more they're going to have just this disposition over discretion over how they're going to spend their time and their lives. And the answer was no. The more they became owned by the very company that they were serving, the stresses, the pressures, the responsibility, and all of that only increased. Sometimes that was accompanied by one of two phenomena. One was the absence of children in a particular executive's life, and the other was an absence from their children's lives, where they gave themselves over so much to their position, and it was what the position demanded or the company required, that it pulled them further and further away from their own time spent with their kids. I can remember talking to one of the most successful, highly placed executives who oversaw an enormous amount of yearly revenue in the company, over $10 billion a year in revenue streams. And he was towards the end of his career. And he said to me in the privacy of a coaching conversation, my son is graduating from high school and is heading off to college. And I realize now I missed his childhood. He's leaving and I missed his childhood. His growing up. I wasn't there to the degree or the extent that I ever thought or imagined when I was when I had this vision of being his father. But for the sake of providing for him, For the sake of being able to give good things to him, I gave myself more and more over to the job. And in the end, he ended up sacrificing his being a father that was present to and engaged with his son for the sake of providing for his son, providing for his family, by giving himself over that much more fully to his career. It was a shocking admission, and it was a sadness for him. He was really, truly sorrowful over what had happened, and here he was, from the outside, a very admired, very influential, important person in this important corporation. And yet interiorly, it was, I don't know if that was worth what it cost. I also had executives, this was rarer, but I had executives who said, Tom, help me to be successful enough to get to a certain level of my career, but keep me from losing my life with my family. Help me to not go higher, so high that I'm going to lose my life to my career. But at the same time, I still want to be able to do the great work that I'm able to do for this company and make the money that provides for my family. But I don't want to lose my family in the process. And I admired that so very much. In the two instances that I can remember that, they were both very devout Catholic guys, and were very honest and open about, want to be excellent, but I don't want to sacrifice my family for the sake of my career. So that was the second of the two where I lost the time with my kids. The other was a couple of instances where I was working with very senior women, very senior, in, again, bigger organizations, and they had made the decision to forego having children. That their career aspirations and pursuits and the meaning and mission and passion and purpose they found in those things was so great that they were willing to say, I won't have children. I'm going to say no to children for the sake of my career and the sense of meaning and fulfillment that it brings to my life. I met one of those women at dinner that night. This couple from the Bay Area, Catholics, they were retired, very well off, and young. When I say young, I mean in their 50s. And let's say they were in their mid-50s, good shape, well-spoken, articulate, thoughtful, very successful in their careers. And here they are on the Camino, just sort of having another experience in life. And when they engaged in conversation with me, and all of a sudden it comes out, yeah, I've been married for 30 years and have 9 kids, their eyes popped. Popped. They didn't have any kids. They had 2 dogs. Now, let me say first off that I do know a number of couples who are childless, not by choice, but because of physical incapacity, the experience of infertility that prevented the welcoming of a child into their married life. That's incredibly painful. It's a cross. It's incredibly difficult. I also know that there are couples whose only children they have are in heaven because they were able to become pregnant and then lost that child before the child came to birth through miscarriage, and have experienced multiple miscarriages. I met one fellow who shared with me they had a number of kids, but they also experienced 4 miscarriages in their married life, and the pain that was, and that sense of these are children, but we weren't receiving the gift of being able to be parents to them on earth. Those of you that know Carrie and my story, without rehashing the whole thing, but to say it in 30 seconds, we experienced in the early years of our marriage for 4 years infertility, and then we experienced a miscarriage. We finally had a child, naturally, by our oldest child. We experienced a number of miscarriages, and then we adopted our second child, and then we had 7 kids after that, naturally. And in the course of those other 7 kids, had a couple of other miscarriages. So we are blessed with 9 children, but we have more children in heaven than on earth. We've lost more than that. We've lost 12 children through miscarriage. So Carrie and I have known the pain of infertility and know the true suffering of miscarriage. That was not this person's situation. That was not this couple's situation. They'd chosen to pursue a meaning and a mission that was bounded by this world and by limited concerns that this world has. Today, my theme is seeking his face. Seeking his face, this holy face of Jesus, and that devotion to the holy face does sum up in a very distinct way the entire mission of our life on earth. Our life on earth is not measured ultimately and most fundamentally by the things of this earth. Our call by God and his gift and grace is to become saints. We become saints through the union that we have with Jesus Christ. The profound, intimate, personal, and life-giving union with Jesus Christ by his grace, by his gift that comes to us. We're initiated into it through baptism. So his Holy Spirit lives within us. And that we journey pursuing the one who is the way. We continue to pursue Jesus, whom we've come to know. We continue to journey deeper into union with Christ. We seek his face because we long to know him more intimately. And in the pursuit of Jesus, in seeking his face, we also come to have emerged within us a sense of mission or purpose in this world. And a mission and purpose in this world that will often have fruits that go beyond this world. What the church says is that the greatest gift that comes to a married couple, the greatest gift given to a husband and a wife, is a child. That is the fruit of a Catholic understanding of the marital union. And here I am sitting across from this couple at this table, and they've been married for almost 20 years. And for whatever mysterious reason, that teaching about ultimate purpose, fundamental meaning, a foundational vision for life that would include fruit that goes beyond this, beyond their lives and beyond time, would be the openness to the gift of children and the pursuit of Jesus Christ and the pursuit of him together with your spouse would naturally leave one open and longing for the gift of children. And so seek his face. And in seeking the face of Jesus, it's personal. What matters is personal. What matters is the person of Jesus and seeking to be in more profound union with him. We get to have that encounter at Mass, and so making Mass a more central part of our lives. We're seeking his face. We're seeking that intimacy of having Christ come and commune with us so that we can commune with him more deeply. That begins to matter more than career. That begins to matter more than influence. That begins to matter more than position. That begins to matter more than possessions. That begins to matter more than financial security and wealth. Those things play a part in our lives. But prioritizing and pursuing what matters the most is pursuing Jesus Christ. And if you're called to be married, pursuing Christ together. Pursuing his mission for married life is to be open to life, to the gift, It's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift. The gift of children. That brings fulfillment beyond what we could imagine. That brings a fruit that will live forever. If God's given you the gift of a child, that child has a destiny that is eternal. And that child might end up being what? Someone who ends up getting married and then gives birth to another child. I'm just using one. So God's given us the gift of 9 children. How many of those 9 will get married? And how many of those 9 are going to have kids? How many of those kids? How many kids each? The tree just grows and grows. One of the beautiful and almost overwhelming pictures that is in our house is a picture of Carrie's mom, Mary Margaret, and it's a picture of her with her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It might even be a great-grandchild or 2 in that picture with her. And there are, at that point, there was something like about 45 or 50 in that picture, just surrounding her. And she just has a smile on her face. And now it's over 100. This is about 15 years later. Now there's over 100 that you could, the fruit on that tree that has come forth from her life. That's better than a big bank account and 2 dogs. It's better than the health to walk the Camino and not have any concerns that there's a job waiting for me when I get home. The Catholic Church offers an incredibly powerful and important corrective to what the world would propose to us is what is worth seeking. Seeking financial abundance, seeking career pinnacle achievements, seeking things that will die and rot, that the moth will eat and the rust will corrode, versus things that will endure. Let's pray that on the way, on the Camino that is your life, that we will do the first thing first and seek the face of Jesus. Seek his face in prayer. Seek Jesus in what he wills for our lives. And if we can be blessed with a spouse that does that with us, that we'll be open to have cleansed the vision, the attitudes, the ways that we live, so that we would be open to the greatest gifts that the Lord would give to us in our married life, holiness, and a mission that is open to life and the gift of children. And a last word, pray for those couples who experience infertility, who experience miscarriages, the pain and the suffering that they know, that the Lord would bring them healing, the Lord would bring them comfort, the Lord would bring them a gift of life in ways that surprise them. Whether that is in living lives of service or in opening their lives to receive children and in adopting children or even fostering children, as a very powerful and important way of fulfilling that mission that is at the heart of marriage. God bless.